Hello, everyone. Wonderful to see you all here. I'm glad you turned out. We have a couple of guests from Israel, and I think you're going to thoroughly enjoy Yonatan and his sharing with you. We did a podcast a moment ago, and I think the podcast was well done. Yonatan had a lot to share with us, and so did his son, Joshua, Yehoshua, and he's standing in the back. He doesn't want to come up front. I think you're intimidating him. I'm not sure. So this is Joshua. Joshua just came back from Gaza. Well, he didn't just come back, but he served in Gaza, and he's hoping to go back to Gaza again. So praise God. So I have the honor, of course, to introduce to you formally Yonatan Behar. He's all the way from Har Bracha. And last Torah portion, I talked a little bit about Mount Gerizim. Again on Sunday, a little bit about Gerizim and the importance of Mount Gerizim. He's here to represent the very importance of Mount Gerizim and the Jewish people back into the land of Israel. So let me introduce you to Yonatan Behar. Take the picture.
There should be more people like you throughout the entire world who love Israel, who love the God of Israel, who love the Torah of Israel, and show it with such happiness and such spirit. The dancing and the singing, it really, really moves my heart. Okay? If you don't mind, I'd like to sing one more song with you. Maybe you know it, I'm not sure, but it goes this way. Oh, say, Shalom B'Yorah. Many times. Pastor Roger also, and I'm sure a number of you have also. Pat, I remember from way back when. Har Bracha, what can I tell you about? First of all, I want to start off by telling you a secret, okay? A secret that you will not hear on CNN or on
even Fox News. The God of Israel is returning his Shekhinah, his divine presence, to the land of Israel. And thank God he's doing it. Unbelievable what's going on in Israel. I'm going to tell you, you probably, if you do listen to the news, which unfortunately the majority of it is lies, just not the truth, you probably hear about very sad and terrible things that are going on in Israel. And it is true, we're in the middle of a war right now. My son, Joshua, and I named him Joshua because Joshua was the conqueror of the land of Israel. And that's what my son is doing today. He's building his own house in his own community in Shomron, in Samaria, not far from Har Bracha, probably about a 20-minute drive. He just served 3 months in Gaza, and he's a Gibor Yisrael. Gibor Yisrael means a warrior of Israel. He was willing to put his life on the line for the land of Israel, for the God of Israel, for the Torah of Israel, for the nation of Israel, and to destroy the Hamas terrorists and to save the land of Israel and the Jewish nation. And I'm very, very proud of him. And I know he doesn't like when I say this, but I just must tell you that I'm very, very proud of him. He went through a lot of difficult times. And I also, as a parent, I mean, obviously not as much as him, but I would stay up at night till 2 o'clock in the morning, God forbid, waiting for that knock on the door that so many families have received, that the bad news that one of their sons was murdered, was killed in the war. But Baruch Hashem, he made it through, and I'm very, very proud of him. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about Har Bracha. Har Bracha is the settlement, the community that I live in. It's in the center of it's at the center of the country. Actually, I have a map I want to show you. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, should have brought that up with me. Okay, where's my trusty map?
By the way, Rosie, who was up there with us one time, still has the scroll. Yonaton wrote the Torah scroll. It took the whole year, and one trip he wrote something for each one of us. Rosie showed up with it today.
That was the old days when I was a scribe. Yes.
Very meaningful.
Yep, well, okay, I can't find it right now, so I won't take too much time searching for it. But in any case, my community of Har Bracha, here's the picture, is located in the center of the country. We are what is known as an obstacle to peace. We're an obstacle to peace, and we're very happy to be an obstacle to peace. We are a community that is sitting on the top of Mount Gerizim. Mount Gerizim, the historical and very strategic mountain, which is about 870 meters above sea level, one of the highest points in Samaria. Like I said, Samaria is in the middle of the country, the heart of the country. We are on what's known as the backbone of Israel, which runs from Hebron in the south, Jerusalem, and Shechem, what the Arabs call Nablus, but the holy name from the Bible is Shechem. We are on the top of the mountain, Mount Gerizim, which overlooks the city of Shechem. Now, when the Jewish nation first came into the land of Israel with Joshua, God commanded Joshua to bring the entire nation to Mount Gerizim and to the adjacent mountain, Mount Yovel. 6 of the tribes stood on Mount Gerizim, and the other 6 stood on Mount Yovel. And down below in the valley were the Kohanim, the priests and the Levites, who were holding the Holy Ark. And there was the whole ceremony of the blessings and the curses that are mentioned in the 5th book of the 5 books of Moses, Deuteronomy. Blessed be the man who does such, and cursed be the man. When the priests said the blessings, they faced Mount Gerizim, and after every blessing, the entire nation on both mountains yelled out, Amen! Now, we actually tried to do this, We went to the edge of the mountain, me and a couple of friends, and we yelled out, Amer! And you hear this tremendous echo. And you can imagine, we're talking about 2 million people yelling out Amen. It must have been mind-blowing. I mean, it's just tremendous. And this was the ceremony of the blessings and the curses when we first came into the land of Israel. And what was the purpose? I think God wanted us to remember what our goal was in coming into the land of Israel, to fulfill the Torah, to fulfill the Bible, and to settle the land of Israel, and to remind us of what our destiny is and what the vision of the Jewish nation is all about. Okay, so that's Har Bracha. Har Bracha today, that was a couple of thousand years ago. Today we have 450 families in our community. When I first came to Har Bracha, we were the 13th family. And yes, my wife followed me into the desert. She said, okay, even though her Hebrew was not very good, and there was only 13 families, and the majority of them were Yemenite Jews who spoke only Hebrew, and my wife's Hebrew was not great then, but it's much better than mine today. She followed me, and we came up to the community. We were the 13th family, and I had the very, very big merit of bringing a rabbi. Every community, every Jewish community needs a rabbi, right? So we didn't have a rabbi, so the people decided, okay, let's invite up a couple of people to come and see if they're appropriate to be the rabbi of the community. And I had been learning in a yeshiva in Beit El, which is about a half an hour drive from Har Bracha, south. And I had been learning with a young man who was the son of the chief rabbi of Beit El. And he sort of took us, the English speakers, under his wing, and he taught us Jewish law, and he taught us Jewish philosophy and the Bible, and in the evenings he would take out his guitar and play songs. He wrote songs about animals, and he was a very interesting man, and a very, very wise Torah scholar. And his name was Eliezer Melamed. And I said, well, let's invite him up, and maybe he might be appropriate. Excuse me if I just take off my jacket, I'm a little hot here. So we invited him up, and I got to tell you, when we were just 13 families, there were 2 rows of houses, 2 rows of like caravans, what we call caravans. They're like Lego houses. They're like built out of pieces, and they're brought in by helicopter and put on pillars. And 1 row of 15, another row of 15, and a path in the middle. And on Shabbat, there was nothing to do except walk up and down the path because everything else was off limits. There were wild animals all around, 2- and 4-legged wild animals, if you know what I mean. And people would just walk up and down the path, and you'd say hello to your neighbor, and then you'd see him again, say, oh, hello, how you doing? And that's all we really could do. We invited up Eliezer Melamed, who wasn't a rabbi at the time. We took this walk on Shabbat, and in the middle he stopped and he said, Yonatan, I feel like I can make a lot of chidushim in this place. A chidush is like an insight. And usually when a rabbi says an insight, he's talking about an insight into the Bible or insight into the Gemara, the Talmud, or some. What Rabbi Melamed was talking about was something much, much grander and greater than just one specific insight into the Torah. He has grown the community of Har Bracha into one of the most dynamic communities in Israel today. We're one of the fastest growing communities. He started a yeshiva, which is like a college for young men that has attracted students from all over the country. And it's a very special yeshiva. It's a 5-year program, okay? Usually when boys turn 18 in Israel and they go into the army, they go in for 3 years. But this program is a 5-year program where the boys learn in yeshiva for 1 year, they go into the army for another year, then they come back to the yeshiva and learn, and it's a 5-year program. These boys are known to be the best soldiers in Israel. They're in the elite combat units, and the reason is because they're learning what we're fighting for. They're learning the Word of God when they're in the yeshiva, and they're so filled with inspiration and power and energy. And like I said, they know what we're fighting for, the land of Israel, the God of Israel, and the Torah of Israel. So when he started this yeshiva in 1992, until that first 5-year program was finished, the community remained at about 20, 30 families. But after the 5-year program was over, a lot of the boys they loved the community so much, and the rabbis and the people, that they decided, a lot of them, to get married and to build their houses in our community. So that's our greatest source of new families, which, in my humble opinion, is the most important mitzvah, the most important commandment that we have today, which is settling the land of Israel. Like I said previously, I said in the podcast, but our wise and holy sages taught us that there are 613 commandments in the Torah. Now they said, if you took 612 commandments and put it on one side of a scale, and you took one commandment and put it on the other side of a scale, the scales would be even. Okay? And we're talking about thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not steal, adultery, that one commandment is settling the land of Israel. Now, if you think about it, it's really mind-blowing that that one commandment can be so important and so crucial to the Jewish nation and to the redemption of the entire world. Because when the Jewish nation is returning to the land of Israel, this is the Geula, this is the redemption process that God is enacting right now before our very eyes. And we have the tremendous merit of fulfilling the words of the prophets. The prophets who prophesied thousands of years ago of the Jewish nation returning to the land of Israel and building the land of Israel and planting trees in the land of Israel and having a government of our own and having an army of our own. When we were in the Galut, when we were in the diaspora, we were very downtrodden people. We went through a lot of difficult times in a lot of difficult places in the world, but thank God today the Jewish nation is returning home, returning to the land of Israel, and we see a tremendous bracha, a tremendous blessing. That's where I come from, Har Bracha, the mountain of blessing. I'm sure if you Google mountain of blessing, you won't find too many places in the world called the mountain of blessing. But where I live is really a truly blessed community. And I really hope, my hope and wish is that one day soon, when things calm down, that you'll all be able to come with Pastor Roger and join the group to come and visit Har Bracha. I think you'll find it a tremendous, tremendous dynamic community, and to see the building that is going on, and to see the children. Wow, we have over 100 children being born every year. We have, every couple of months, kindergartens we have to build more kindergartens. They're growing like mushrooms. It's unbelievable. And on the holidays in the synagogue, children running around in between your legs and all around. And it's such a blessing. It's such a blessing. And we're hoping and praying and doing our best to continue the blessing, to continue building. Unfortunately, the massacre that occurred on Simchat Torah, what people call the October 7th, I call it the Simchat Torah massacre. Why? Simchat Torah is the day where Jews celebrate with the Torah. All of the Torahs that are in the Holy Ark are taken out, and everybody dances around, circles and circles and circles, and it's a lot of happiness. And unfortunately, that was the day when the Hamas terrorists did their terrible massacre, and so many of our men and women and children were murdered and kidnapped, and we're praying with all of our hearts that they will return speedily and healthfully to their homes and to Israel and to their families. In any case, Simchat Torah, my Rabbi Melamed, said that it's not by chance that that massacre took place on Simchat Torah, because he said, God doesn't do anything by chance or coincidence. If it happened on Simchat Torah, that is coming to teach us that we have to have more simcha, we have to have more happiness and joy in the Torah. in the Torah itself. And he wrote a book which just was translated into English. It's called Jewish Tradition. And I would just, if you don't mind, I would just like to read some of the passages because it really covers in 500 pages all of the Torah, all of Judaism, and all of Jewish tradition. So I'm just going to read a couple of passages if you don't mind. The Jewish vision, the vision of the Jewish nation. The appearance of the Jewish people began with God's commandment to our forefather Abraham to go up to the land of Israel. There he would establish a large and blessed nation, a nation that would reveal God's word to the world and bring blessing to all. As the verses say in the book of Genesis 12, 1 through 3, and I'm sure you all know this, the Lord said to Abram, "Go forth from your native land and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and curse him that curses you. And all the families of the earth shall be blessed through you." Well, if anybody I can say is so blessed, it's you here. I mean, your love for the land of Israel and the God of Israel and the people of Israel is so exuberant and so overflowing, and the dancing and the singing just touched my heart. So I just wanted to continue on. Similarly, our forefather Isaac was promised, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed through your offspring. Also, our forefather Jacob was told, all the families of the earth shall be blessed through you and your descendants. In other words, as we say in the Aleinu prayer, which is the final prayer of the 3 daily prayers that we say, the mission of the Jewish nation is to perfect the world under the sovereignty of the Almighty. We are meant to reveal to the world faith in God and the path to live a life of blessing, illuminated by the divine values of truth and goodness. This will gradually shower goodness and blessing on all nations, families, and individuals. The book is chock full of beautiful thoughts like this, and if anybody is interested, we can later speak about how you can purchase this book. I think anybody who wants to really understand what Judaism and Torah and the land of Israel is all about, it's here in this book. And there was a lot of, I don't know how much time I have. Cut it short, you're saying? No, it's okay? All right, so I'm just going to read something else that I put a sticker here to. Loving the land. Okay, this is in the chapter of the people and the land. Loving the land. It is appropriate to praise and love the land of Israel, following the example of the Torah, which calls it the land of milk and honey 15 times. The verses elaborate. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with streams and springs and fountains issuing from plain and hill, a land of wheat and barley, of vines, figs, and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey, a land where food will not be scarce and you will lack nothing, a land whose rocks are iron and from whose hills you can mine copper. When you have eaten your fill, give thanks to the Lord your God for the good land which he has given you. It's from the book of Deuteronomy. The Talmud tells us about sages who left Babylonia for the land of Israel. Upon reaching the boundaries of Israel, they kissed its stones and rolled in its dirt. This was an expression of their great love of the land and a fulfillment of the verse, your servants shall take delight in its stones and cherish its dust. That's from the book of Psalms. Throughout history, kissing the ground was common among new immigrants to Israel. The love and longing for the land were also reflected in the poems and songs that Jews in the diaspora wrote, expressing yearning for the land. This is what I did when I first made Aliyah, when I moved to Israel in 1984. The first thing I did when I got off the plane was to kiss the land of Israel. And it's a heritage, it's something that Jews have been doing for years upon years. And it's because there's only really one place in the world that's called the Holy Land. And that's the land of Israel. And Har Bracha is the pinnacle, other than Jerusalem, of course. Jerusalem is the highest, no question about it. But after Jerusalem and after Hebron, maybe, Shechem, our area, which is the inheritance of Joseph the righteous, and he is actually buried down below in the city of Shechem. And I got to tell you one thing, that many, many years ago when I first moved to Har Bracha, I used to be able to go down to Shechem, to the tomb of Joseph at midnight by myself without a gun and pray at the tomb of Joseph. Today, of course, we have the Oslo Peace Accords, right? If a Jew went into the Shechem today, he wouldn't come out alive. And even though according to the Oslo Peace Accords, we are supposed to be able to pray in our holy sites, we're not allowed, unfortunately. Only once a month do groups go into Kever Yosef, into Joseph's tomb, at midnight with army trucks and jeeps and soldiers. And I personally took a vow to myself, not a vow, but something similar to a vow, saying that I don't want to go into Kever Yosef, to Joseph's tomb, as a ganav, as somebody who's stealing something. It's ours. God gave us the land of Israel. God gave us the city of Shechem. And until we are able to once again go in as proud and brave Jews, I will not go back. It's sad, but that's the situation. Now, Har Bracha, like I said, is constantly growing and constantly building. But again, on the Simchat Torah massacre, we had to stop Arab labor. Until then, we had given Arabs a parnasa. We had given them, my son, his English is better than mine, business. They would get work from us. We would give them labor. We would pay them good salaries. We would give them, everything they needed. They got better salaries from us than they did from their Arab brothers, and they built for us. But after the massacre, the people of the community said, we're not going to allow any Arabs into our community anymore because we just can't take the chance that they, God forbid, would, we can't trust them. So a lot of the construction that was underway, we have probably about 15 buildings. We have a sports center. We have 8-story apartment buildings going up. They were all stopped. For 4 months, we haven't had any. But I want to tell you one more secret, and please don't mention this to President Biden or Secretary of State Blinken. We are bringing in workers from India, from China, and from other parts of the world to take over for the Arabs and to continue the building of our community, because that is one of the most important things that we have to do, is to continue building. And we have to make the Shomron and Judea and Samaria, we want to bring 1 million Jews. Presently, there's 600,000, approximately. We're trying our best to attract as many new families as possible and to continue building and growing and securing the land of Israel for everybody, and not only for Israel, but I got to tell you, it's also for the entire world, because God forbid, if we don't take care of the evil that is Hamas, then it's just going to spread to the entire world. And we're on the front line. We are really on the front line of settlement in the land of Israel and in the front line of stopping all of this evil from spreading to other places in the world. So all I can say is that anybody who takes part in the settlement of the land of Israel is blessed and will be blessed by the God of Israel. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. And I can continue on? Okay. Okay. What else did I want to tell you? What I really wanted to tell you also was that security is also a very important aspect of our community. Now, after the Simchat Torah massacre, thank you so much. Now, I'm going to make a blessing, and after I make a blessing, you can all say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol niyeh bidvaro. Amen. Very good. Thank you very much. Since the massacre, we've had to beef up our security because I don't know if anybody watches Al Jazeera or probably CNN. I personally don't. But sometimes I turn on Al Jazeera on my computer just to see what they're lying about. And I've heard so many times people say, okay, there was Hamas in Gaza, but there is no Hamas in Judea and Samaria, in the West Bank, what they call the West Bank. And I said, what are you, crazy? This is totally insane. They just did a survey recently of Arabs in Judea and Samaria, and 90% of them said they would vote for Hamas if there were ever elections. There's no difference between the PLO, there's no difference between jihad, there's no difference between Hamas. They all want us into the Mediterranean Sea. They all want us dead. They would be very happy to kill us all. And there is Hamas in Judea and Samaria. In my area where I live, in Shechem, it's a hotbed of Arab terrorism. And the Israeli army, and only because of Jewish communities like Har Bracha and the other communities in our area, another massacre like happened in Gaza is not happening today. Because we're there, and because we're there, the army is also there, and they're constantly patrolling, they're constantly going into these Arab-populated cities like Shechem, like Tulkarem, like Jenin, and trying to wipe out the Hamas terrorists and the PLO terrorists and the jihadist terrorists that are in all of these cities. So don't believe anybody if you hear them say that there is no Hamas in Judea and Samaria. There is, unfortunately. And we're doing our best. As a community, we have to make sure that our community is constantly secured and guarded. And since the massacre, we've had to beef up our security. 70 of our young men from our community were called up into Army service. They are serving within our community, doing constant security surveillance, thank you, 27/7, 24/7, whatever, excuse me. And we got a lot of donations from people in America, Jews and non-Jews, for much needed security equipment like helmets and vests and also medical supplies and things like that if, God forbid, there ever was an attack by the Arab terrorists. So, like I said, we're on high alert. We're on high alert, constantly high alert. But you got to know that Judea and Samaria will never, God forbid, will never be like what happened in Gaza. And the only reason, once again, is because we're living there, and the army is able to go into these cities and get all the information that they need. That's really what is preventing another massacre. But what I really want to tell you is the beauty of the land of Israel. The land of Israel is in my eyes, is the most beautiful country in the world. Jerusalem, the holy city of Jerusalem, when you breathe in the air in Jerusalem, not only in Jerusalem, in Israel, our rabbis, our holy and wise sages told us that just breathing in the land of Israel makes a person wise. So when you do come, keep breathing. Deep breaths, a lot of deep breaths. Just breathe in all of that holiness. And I really, really hope and pray that you will all come and visit my community. If there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. And
we'll do a Q&A. If you have questions, we'll take a few questions. Maybe if Joshua is willing, he can stand with his father and maybe answer a few questions.
I'm sorry,
Tell what you experienced.
Let's try to get an equation. Anyone interested in what happened in Gaza or October or whatever? Yeah.
I don't know how much you're able to tell us, but how is the war going? What kind of inroads are you making?
So I also talked about on the podcast, and I'm saying that actually what's happening in Gaza, we are winning. We are doing a great job. We found many of tunnels and many of missile launchers and stuff like that, and guns and whatever, and we able even to kill a lot of the Hamas terrorists. So in the media, you can hear something else, but actually in Gaza, we are winning, and currently we are even in Khan Yunis. It's very near the border of Egypt, and hopefully that the army also will get in to Rafah, to the last city that Hamas is still inside, and I think most of the hostages are also there. But yeah, we did a good job there and fight the Hamas, and I hope that the government will let the army to finish the job.
My son, I'll just say a few words. When he was in Gaza and he went into these areas, Jabalia and refugee camps and whatever, every house, almost every house that they went in, they found ammunition, they found guns, they found, like he said, in the courtyard of the houses, they had missile launchers that were concealed, and just the very edge of it was sticking out of the ground. And they destroyed all of that. They destroyed tunnels. They looked for the hostages. Unfortunately, they haven't found them yet, but Bezrat Hashem, please God, our soldiers will. And pictures of martyr, what the Arabs call shahidim, martyrs who killed Jews, on the walls.
Also in any house you can find the Hamas propaganda. They're teaching in school. You can find the books that children take in the bags to the school.
They found Mein Kampf, Hitler's book, in the houses also.
Talking about children's school books.
Children's school books, that's the UNRWA.
That's insane. Any house, so that's crazy. Yeah.
That's kind of my concern, is that ideology is steeped into the children. So what kind of solution really is there that's embedded in them?
That's a good question. We tried one solution that went really bad, is to go out of Gaza and not be there. So I think that we still need to stay inside because we don't have any other option. If you are not holding the land, you are not inside of the population, you cannot eliminate the terrorists. So currently, I don't know what's the solution, but I know
The
that
solution is the same as the denazifization.
I can
Easy
see
for
one
you to
solution.
say.
I can see one solution, that if Egypt will open the border and the Palestinians will go to Sinai, a lot of space there for everybody.
One of the things I learned about Joshua is that he wasn't just a soldier in the idea of he was highly ranked and very important on the battlefield. He has some slides to show us, so we can get the slides up on the wall if you want to talk about the slides.
I have many of pictures in my phone.
All right.
Not the same pictures, but pictures of Har Bracha.
Yeah, but it was really tough even the war, and I lost a few good friends during the war, and also on the 7th of October. So
Yeah.
we didn't have a choice. We forced to do this fight, and we didn't choose to do that. So.
So that's a picture there of,
That's a picture of the yeshiva in Har Bracha, where we have about 200 students learning. These are the guys who I told you who were in that special
it's a Hetza.
program.
It's
Right. Beautiful. And these are 3 of our residents who now are in Miluim, in reserve duty, within our community. This is a new site that we set up that is much closer to the village, the Arab village that is right next door to us. That's the village. And that's so how close it is to Har Bracha. And they're also building, the Arabs are building like crazy. They're building high-story buildings that look right over onto our community. And God forbid, if there ever was another outbreak, they would be able to shoot from there into our community. And, you know, I want, maybe we'll continue on with the pictures. These are some of the books that my rabbi wrote. That's in Hebrew. These are pocket size. These are some of the children who are receiving their first Bible in the first grade, and they have a party where they dance and they dress up. Har Bracha, grounded in the past, building the future. This is the community of Har Bracha on the top of Mount Gerizim, and what you're looking at is a view towards the Mediterranean Sea. We can see from Har Bracha ships on the Mediterranean Sea. Okay? God forbid if there was ever a PLO, ISIS, Hamas state established in the heart of Israel where the two-state solution is meant, what they're talking about, they would be able, this is the entire coastal plain. We'll have probably a better picture of that, but we see from Ashdod and Ashkelon in the south, Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan in the middle, and Hadera in the north. And Hadera is where we have the electric company for the entire state of Israel, and that's just in their line of vision, God forbid. This is also another very interesting, this out camp here is on an adjacent hill. It's something Rabbi Melamed, my rabbi, well, in his tremendous vision, there was a man named Tommy Waller who came to Har Bracha. Maybe some of you know him. Yovel. He started the program Yovel that brings volunteers, Christian volunteers from all over the world to help pick grapes. There are a lot of men and women who grow grapes throughout Judea and Samaria, and they're short on hands and they need people. And these volunteers come every year from all over the world and help us. They're tremendous friends. These were two of our young men who were murdered just a year ago in the Arab village that we used to have to go through to get to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, Huwara. Hallel, Yaniv can, okay, this is also, okay, go on. This is a picture of Har Bracha. That's Pizza Behar. That's my pizza. No, it's not mine, but they call it Pizza Behar. Pizza on the mountain. Behar means on the mountain. That's just a little joke. This is our rabbi, one of our rabbis teaching our soldiers. These guys are the ones in the Hezder program, learning in yeshiva and going into the army. Again, the books written by my rabbi on Jewish law, which have gone out in 1,300,000 copies. If you ever hear about Israeli authors, best-selling author, Israeli, sells 20,000 books, and that's considered a bestseller. Our rabbi, his books have gone out in 1,300,000 copies. They're in all houses in Israel. They're in all the schools in Israel. Kids take their matriculation tests on his books in Jewish law. Here with Tommy Waller from Yovel. There's Tommy. This is the girls' Ulpana, the girls' high school, okay, that we just built recently, and we're trying, please God, to build an auditorium in the school. That's one of our next big projects. This is also looking out at the next community of Yitzhar from Har Bracha on the next mountain over to us. This, again, is a big secret. Please don't tell anybody. 2 workers from India, the first 2 workers that came to continue building instead of the Arabs. This is our rabbi, Rabbi Melamed, in front of the Holy Ark in the yeshiva. Just another house that was built to where Chayalim, where soldiers are now living in order to be on the front line of our community to make sure the Arabs don't try and come in. Okay, this is the Torah library in the yeshiva that we had a very, very nice family, the Moskowitz family, who are tremendous, righteous people who build Judea and Samaria and give a lot of money to all different communities. They helped us build this Torah library. Again, books. This is the books in English, a lot of books here. Okay, go on.
That's it.
That's it? We don't
That's
have a video? Is there?
Well, they'll give me a second.
Okay, give you a second. All right.
Okay, so I would like to open up for any more questions for either Joshua, Yahushua, or for Yonatan.
I was wondering, do you have any idea how the Hamas soldiers are reacting? Do they feel remorse that they ever started this war, or are they somewhat confused?
I don't think so.
No, not at all.
Now, the citizens of Gaza were showing a lot of happiness and give candies to everybody on the street on the 7th of October. So now to come and cry after, it's a little bit.
Well, a very interesting thing we saw in the films that they took themselves. You should know this, that they, the Hamas terrorists, filmed what they were doing live, broadcasting on social media of them killing and murdering and raping, and it's just, but together with the terrorists themselves were thousands of just Arab men, women, and children coming in to loot, to steal, to do whatever type of damage they possibly could. If you, by permission, I just read one more thing about here, about the Israeli army. What our rabbi writes, people who serve in the Israel Defense Forces are fulfilling two tremendous mitzvot, commandments, each of which is equivalent of all the other mitzvot put together. The first mitzvah is saving the Jews from their enemies. Since a person who saves one life is considered to have saved an entire world, imagine what an accomplishment it is to help save the entire Jewish people, which was what my son Joshua was doing. The second mitzvah is settling the land. Without an army to defend the land, it would be impossible to retain Jewish sovereignty. These two mitzvot are the values which motivated King David's soldiers as they prepared for war. As the verse says in the book of Samuel, let us be strong and resolute for the sake of our people and the land of our God. One who serves in the Israeli army is expressing the part of oneself which is holy by virtue of being part of a holy nation. Most of the time we fulfill mitzvot as individuals. However, an individual who serves in the army takes on the elevated status of the nation in which the divine presence dwells. Soldiers are fulfilling their army mitzvot as soon as they are drafted and start training. This is because the fact that we have a well-trained army serves as a deterrent in itself. Our enemies are afraid of us because they know we have a strong army. Therefore, even a soldier killed during training exercises is considered to have fallen in the service of God, the nation, and the land. Okay. Any other questions for my son, myself?
Do you call those two Indian construction workers sahibs?
What is Sahib? I don't know. Okay, was that a bad joke?
That's his humor. That's his humor.
Okay, let's see a little video here of our community.
Someone back there has a question. Someone.
What? Okay. Well, you can sit down.
Someone back there had a question. You still there?
Okay, hold on.
No.
So, maybe two parts. So, about how many people in that community, in the Gaza area, that don't believe in the ideology of like Hamas? Like, what about percent that you've experienced, like that just really are living there in fear, but are still there?
I think it's kind of hard to tell how many are not associated with Hamas. Gaza Strip. Also, you can see that during the 7th of October, what happened in the streets, that everybody is celebrating and like, were really happy when that security happened. And also when you get inside the houses and the cities, the big cities like Judea, where I live, almost every house all guns. And like I said, also Hamas propaganda, and you can see that the only mission is to try and destroy Israel. That's the mission. And like you said, they teaching the children this ideology, and I think that we need to eliminate the Hamas and still hold the area in order to prevent this kind of a massacre in the future.
I want to speak to that just a little bit in regards to what Willie asked and what Chris asked. I posted today on Facebook a testimony of a wonderful woman who lived in one of the kibbutzim, the communities close to Gaza. She was a mile away from Gaza. And she gave a wonderful interview, and you should go to my Facebook. And don't forget to leave some money. Go to my Facebook and look at the interview. The interview was done by TBN. Excellent. She said something that's really profound. She said the morning it happened on this incredible event, the combatants came first. And when the combatants left, a second wave of residents from Gaza came in, and they were more deadly and vicious than the combatants that came through the first wave. And they were this is where that phone call was recorded of this civilian calling his mom and bragging about beheading Israelis. So the Gazan community are completely sold out. But obviously, not everyone will be in that place, not all. But I venture to say that in another couple of months, there will be many more so-called Palestinians who would be willing to turn their back on Hamas, and they're probably already doing it now. Whether or not they're genuine, that's a different story. But Hamas, as Yonatan said on the podcast, Hamas also exists in Samaria, in the so-called West Bank, Jenin, in Nablus, and in other places. So, yeah, they're there. Hamas is grounded in, and they've got to be grounded out.
Yeah, so we did a mistake with Gaza, and we did have a mistake with Jenin. We also get out of Jenin. And today there are many of terrorism in Jenin, much more than in the other area in Judea and Samaria. So I hope that our government will be smart enough to hold the land and keep it clean from terrorism.
Like Pastor Roger said, we saw on security the kibbutzim that were invaded. We saw on their security cameras a man on crutches going in, and young kids and women going into the communities to steal and to pillage and to rape and to burn and to just total destruction and destroy everything. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
So right before October 7th, and seeing all the news was about the fraction between the political parties and the disunity amongst the people. Obviously, this brought them together. I'm starting to read more on the news that maybe there's that pull again. Do you see that and hear that inside Israel, or is that just more lies the media saying you still feel that unity within the country among the people?
I think it's partly it's small groups that are doing a lot of noise. You can see that we are very united, and you can see, I think, very good in the military reserve. Any kind of people are willing to die, each for another, a lefty guy or somebody from the right, whatever. So I think, again, what you see in the media, it's not what the reality. And the reality, I think that the Jewish nation is very united now. Hopefully it will continue.
Yeah. The media blows things out of proportion. There's a very small group of people who are making a lot of noise, and the media loves to, pick up on that type of thing. So It's, as my son said, the majority of the nation are unified and realize that we can't continue the way it was before with all of the demonstrations and all of the divisions between the different parties. And
Yes, I heard in the news that they're sending an enclave from the United States, and they always stick their nose in Israel's business, to Beirut regarding the 60,000 that are displaced in the northern part of Israel because of Hezbollah. What are you all going to do about that?
Hezbollah is a very big problem. God forbid if there's a war, and there most probably will be a war because we have to take out Hezbollah. They are much worse than Hamas in Gaza. They have a lot more ammunition that they get from Iran. They have precision missiles that, God forbid, could reach Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and all over the country. And it's going to be a very, very difficult war, but we have to go in and get rid of the Hezbollah because we cannot have so many Jews being expelled from their houses. Like you said, I think maybe even more than 60,000. And they have to return.
Almost half a year.
And it's also been almost half a year that they've been out of their houses, and it's very, very difficult for them to be displaced and put in hotels, and you know, for the kids also, it's very difficult for their education, and but we have no choice. We have no choice. We have to defend our country. We have to continue. Yes, John?
I read an article that Netanyahu said that the only reason he ran again was to make sure they could disarm Iran's nuclear capability.
Right.
And that was his goal of getting reelected.
Right.
You know, is that...
Oh, that's been his goal for his entire premiership. That was his number one goal, was to make sure that Iran never got a nuclear bomb. And he, to this day, that's his main goal, and that's what's really keeping him going. He, in my humble opinion, he's the best politician. He has his faults, no question about it, but he's the best politician that Israel has today. But after the war is over, you know, there are going to be a lot of heads rolling, and he might be one of them also, unfortunately, because I don't think there's anybody who can do a better job than he does.
I have a question.
Okay. Pat?
The hostages, how do you know they're alive? Okay, and there's a lot of Israelis feeling in their hearts that we must go on if they're alive or not. Just wipe out Hamas. I'm reading that a lot.
So, first of all, you can't really know if they're alive or not. But I think that if the army will keep the pressure and go in Rafia, where we assume that the hostages that are alive are there in the tunnels, and I think can bring us a good. I think that the only option to get part of the hostages is to go get in Rafia and try and get them. It's also we bring a lot of pressure on the Hamas, so I think they would want to release the hostages in order to stop the army from getting into Rafia.
So we'll take one more question. Yes.
The high-rise buildings that are going up next to practically your town, how many of them, that looks like another wave of trying to do something to Israel.
No question. You're exactly right. There's no question about it. And it's a very big problem for us. That is one of the major problems of all of the Arabs who are building around from our community and building high-rise buildings. And their goal is to get rid of us, and in whatever way they possibly can. We have to continue building as fast as possible and higher buildings and have more people come and spread out. We're spreading out towards Shechem. We are constantly building on outer circles of our community, and we're getting closer and closer to the edge of Mount Gerizim. overlooking Shechem, and one day, please God, we'll also be living in Shechem and on Mount Yovel, as far as, that might be the mountain where the curses were said, but there's no such thing as a cursed place in the land of Israel. The entire land of Israel is holy. Apparently, it's just going to take us a little bit longer to reveal the holiness of Mount Yovel and to settle there also. But that's our goal, and that's where we're headed for.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.